All right, as I've been saying for months, I've been telling you this is going to happen, it's coming. Everyone's sitting here feeling gray, feeling stupid because the bull market is taking a pause right now. And I told you months ago, the bull market doesn't start until 79,000. That is the inflation adjusted high. All these morons on this television behind me that show up every day to talk about assets and this, that, and the other, they understand that the bull market doesn't start until the previous all-time high in inflation-adjusted terms has been broken. So 79,000 is gold. But the most important thing happened today, and this is why I've been trying to get you to subscribe to the channel, because you can keep in touch ahead of what is coming. The single most important, crossing the Rubicon. I told you in my last video, if you haven't subscribed and watched that, subscribe and watch that video. But I told you in my last video, we have crossed the Rubicon on Bitcoin. The type of people that are coming into Bitcoin now is just going to accelerate towards the TradFi markets, and that's why I'm going to the next Bitcoin conference in 2025, because I think it is now we've now crossed the Rubicon on this, right? What has happened today? Morgan Stanley has announced they are the first U.S. wealth advisory to announce that they are giving permission to their wealth advisors, the 15,000 wealth advisors across $1.46 trillion of AUM, permission to actively pitch and sell Bitcoin ETFs to their clients. This is the first wealth advisor in the US to do so, and I predict that you're just going to see the rest of the dominoes start to fall now as we head into the second half of this year. Every single wealth advisor by the end of this year will be selling Bitcoin ETFs to their clients. This is exactly what I foresaw was going to happen, and it's now happening. It's taking a little bit of time because due diligence takes a little bit of time, plus summer vacation, 15,000 people that, by the way, these 15,000 people are not incentivized by the mission of Bitcoin. They're incentivized by the profit that they get from selling a product. And here's the crazy part. Here's what they've all worked out. If you watched any of my videos about advisors last year, you would have already known this math. Every time they sell a product, they get a commission on that product. And for as long as, however many years that you stay in that product, they continue getting paid your commission based on the renewal fees and the ongoing holding fees of that product. With Bitcoin, the craziest part is if you let's say you put a client with $1 million into a Bitcoin ETF now, right now, and you make a 1% fee, just for argument's sake, you make a 1% fee. Well, in 4 years, that $1 million position might be $4 million. So your 1% fee is just compounded, from 10 grand to 40,000 in a 4-year period. So the incentives are aligning for them to only sell Bitcoin to their clients, because it is the highest performing product out there. Now, I did some math here, some quick maths, to say, what if they put 3% of their $1.46 trillion of assets under management, just 3% into the Bitcoin ETFs? Well, that's $43 billion of purchasing coming from one source, and that's Morgan Stanley, right? Just one source here. $43 billion. What would that mean? Well, if we use the bear market multiplier of 55, that would mean a $2.4 trillion addition to the market, or from this very moment, $114,000 being added to the market, adding to the price of Bitcoin, right, for one Bitcoin. Now, if we use the bull market multiplier, the Bank of America bull market multiplier, you're looking at adding $5 trillion to the market cap of Bitcoin, which is $238,000 per coin. Think about this is just one source, and it's just starting. And by the way, they're going to start selling from August 7th. That's when they'll start selling these Bitcoin products. They'll have permission to actually go and actively, go call their clients and say, hey, you should probably get you some exposure into this Bitcoin ETFs. Here's the crazy part. If you are a client of, let's say, Citibank, and Citibank is not allowing you, Citi Private is not allowing you to invest in Bitcoin ETFs, well, you're going to just move your portfolio over to Morgan Stanley if you understand Bitcoin. So now what's going to happen is you're going to see the Hunger Games start between all these advisors. So the Hunger Games is going to work like this. The client's going to get a call from Morgan Stanley and say, hey, we're now accepting Bitcoin ETFs. We need to get you an allocation, da-da-da-da. You're going to call Citibank up and you're going to speak to one of your friends who's with Citibank. Say, hey, I just got into Bitcoin with Morgan. and your friend is going to call Citibank and say, hey, get me a Bitcoin allocation. They're going to say, oh, we don't have Bitcoin support. Okay, move my positions to Morgan Stanley right now. Citibank's going, hold on 1 second. Let me just have a conversation with my manager before we lose your $5 million portfolio here. And they're going to call you back and say, okay, we've just added Bitcoin to our portal. That's what's going to happen here. All of these guys are going to fall one by one by one. They're all coming to the game, and they're all going to come with their hundreds of millions, hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars, and a small percentage of that is coming into Bitcoin. And they're going to see a rapid rise in the price of Bitcoin over the next year as they start selling these products. Now, I don't expect an immediate price boost on the day of August 7th. And if you think that, you got to stop thinking like a child, right? We've got to start thinking logically here. They now have permission to sell. That takes a process, right? So now you need to schedule selling the Bitcoin ETF to your clients. So now you need to call your clients. It's going to take momentum. But what the point here is, and why I'm so excited, is that this is the first US wealth advisor to actually permit selling Bitcoin ETFs to their clients directly. This is not your client calling you up and saying, hey, get me a position. This is one of their 15,000 salespeople, right? Getting on the phone, trying to earn commissions by selling Bitcoin. This is the workforce that Bitcoin has missed for all of these years, and it's now coming, and they're incentivized through commissions to do this. This is no longer incentivized like British HODL to do this because I give a shit. This is incentivized through commissions to actually do this and to sell Bitcoin. And every Bitcoin they sell, they make a certain commission on, and for as long as they keep the client in the trade, the commissions just compound over a number of years. This is extremely exciting. It's extremely important, and Morgan Stanley has just become the first wealth advisor in the UK to allow in the US to allow this, and this will domino effect across the entire portfolio of wealth managers in the US, and you're going to see trillions and trillions of dollars be exposed to Bitcoin, not from I watched a YouTube video anymore. It's, hey, I'm calling from Morgan Stanley and we want to talk to you about Bitcoin. Hey, I'm calling from Citibank and we want to talk to you about Bitcoin. Hey, I'm calling from Bank of America and we want to talk about Bitcoin. Think about what's happening here. This is unbelievable. It's exactly what I've been predicting for a year, and now it's happening. And the only thing that's going to happen here is price is going to move up. Why? Because we have the hardest, scarcest asset humanity has ever created, and they all want a piece of it, and they don't have a piece of it yet, and now they're incentivized to sell pieces of it, and they're going to realize very quickly when finality of scarcity catches up with their fiat unlimited printable mindset, you're going to see a reality hit like we've never seen before. And that's what's coming for Bitcoin right now. And so if you're sitting here going, oh, the market's down, the market's down, the market's down, you're a moron. What's happening right now is the single most exciting thing that's ever happened in the investment world ever. And that is the adoption of a brand new asset into the financial space. In our lifetime, it's the first time it's happened. Adoption of a brand new asset with absolute final scarcity. This is remarkable, and now you're going to start seeing the Hunger Games of these advisors start to develop. I would predict that within the next month, you'll start seeing other advisory firms, other big banks start to say, we're going to permit our advisors to start selling Bitcoin ETFs because they don't want to lose business. It's just natural Hunger Games, natural instinct that's going to happen here. So remember, now is not the time to start getting sucked into the bullshit distractions of politics and whatever's going on Twitter or whatever's going on wherever. Stay focused. This is coming home. There is only one path for Bitcoin here because of the scarcity nature of it. You cannot print anymore, and all these billions of dollars are coming for Bitcoin. You need to stay focused. If you're not at one Bitcoin, you need to get to one Bitcoin. If you are at one Bitcoin, you need to get to as much as you can, because you're never going to get another chance to do this. This is a once in a species opportunity, as I used to say on Clubhouse in 2021, once in a species opportunity, because there is absolute finality of scarcity. And if you're sitting here, you got children, grandchildren, whatever, the last thing I can imagine is looking them in the face and saying, hey, when they say, hey, why didn't you buy that house? You can sort of justify, like, oh, we bought a house over here, we wanted to move over here, blah, blah, blah. What are you going to do when they say, why didn't you buy that Bitcoin? There is no answer, and I do not ever want anyone who's watching me to live with that regret. So get to that one Bitcoin. Understand this is happening. This is a huge news that's going on in the TradFi world. keep up to date with what's going on, subscribe to the channel, but ultimately, there are always only 3 rules to Bitcoin. Step number 1, you buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, you shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy.